The opinions expressed by tonight's guest do not represent the opinions or position of Spaced Out Radio, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with SOR Media. Listener discretion is advised. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we are about to take you higher. Broadcasting from the Rocky Mountains of Colorado to you listening around the world. This is Spaced Out Sunday with host Tessa N Thomas. You can follow Tessa on our Facebook page at Spaced Out Radio, on Twitter at TessaTNT, and you can subscribe to her YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio for the archive. But we break on command 'cause women rule the world. Buckle up, space travelers. Let the countdown begin.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's time to go for a ride with host Tessa N Thomas.
I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening, Spaced Out Radio. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the Platas on a Rocky Mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 419.9 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, October 28th, Monday, October 29th for those of you on the East Coast and beyond, and this is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a rockin' week, an awesome day, and an even better evening. And I am your host, Tessa TNT, and I am live tonight broadcasting from beautiful Bayfield, Colorado. We are 150,000 strong nightly on Spaced Out Radio Network, spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, as well as Deep Talk Radio, which you can find at deeptalkradio.com. Don't forget to head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, where you can peruse the Spaced Out Radio store and read the encounter online dealing with everything strange, paranormal, and odd. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight we are joined once again by my beautiful sister, Cathy Wewer, and we're sitting back, relaxing, enjoying the pre-Halloween weekend as the veil is thinning, and we're hoping to hear your ghost stories as well as share our ghost stories with you. I also have my ghost box, the SB7, and I was actually dinking around with it a little bit before the show, and I'm getting nothing coming through here. So hopefully it decides to work. Somebody decides to come through. But hey, Cathy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm just so happy to be here. How's everybody? Hello.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us, and I know you can only do an hour as you have a muggle job you have to get to tomorrow.
Yes, that was 9 to 5.
What a way to make a living.
Yep, hard way to make easy living.
So what have you been up to? I know you got the new job, being the assistant county treasurer.
Yes, deputy treasurer for Franklin County. It's quite an honor to have that job. And also, I'm starting my painting business on the side, so I've been painting too. Painting houses, painting anything. If you can't move it, paint it.
Right? That's a good motto.
Yes, that's a good one. What's the motto with you?
What's the motto with you? You talking to me? Well, I was thinking back, and the most recent in my memory was your demon experience when it was actually trying to rape you. So I'm not sure if that was actually like a incubus or what was going on with that. And I don't know if we got too much further past that. I know we got to that point in our stories, and then we had people calling in. And I was sitting here thinking about, Halloween's past, like when we would hang out together and you'd get us all ready for Halloween. And one year we had some really freaky experiences with some friends over at the house. We did the whole Bloody Mary thing. Were you in the bathroom for that?
Yes, I was, and that scared the crap out of me because we literally seen something. I don't know if it was Mary, but there was something there, and it scared the crap out of me. When you did the whole Bloody Mary thing, turn off the light, and then, it was crazy. It was crazy scary. We've had so many different experiences with seeing ghosts and seeing things, and I don't know if it has been the same one that has kind of stuck to me this whole time, but I know when I went to California and I was in California, I was terrorized by incubus or demon or whatever it was, and it would terrorize me and immobilize me in my sleep. Like I would be in my body and be fully awake, but my body would be asleep, and it would hold me down and it would wrestle me down, and I could scream, I could nothing, and it happened every time I fell asleep.
Okay. Can you hold on 1 second? Because people are saying they either can't hear you or whatnot, and I don't see your voice bouncing here where your voice should be, so that's odd. Because I can hear you perfectly, but you're not coming through for some reason. Let me...
We used to do it on do we used to call like maybe with the other way, the original way?
Or you could go off a video and hold it up to your ear, and we can see if that works better.
Okay.
I don't know, that is so strange. Because I can hear you perfectly.
Video, but I can still see you.
Okay, hold on 1 second. So let's do what you said. I'll call you back on your number, and we'll try it that way.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you in a bit.
All right, bye.
Bye. Okay, so let me get her dialed back up here. Because I did call her first off on her cell phone, but I could actually hear her better through her Skype, and it's so strange that she's not coming through on the show. It's weirding me out, people. Let me call her back and see if she comes through now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Well, I can't. No, it's not. It's not bouncing in there for some reason, and I don't know if they can hear you or not.
I don't know. Come on, folks, can y'all hear me? I sound so country.
Can you guys hear her now or no? Like, for some reason, she's not coming through on here. Let me...
I think it's messing with us already. Like, it's crazy because once we started talking about the ghost stories and stuff like that, I've had some odd paranormal things happen here. And, like my watch busted the first time. Ooh, I just heard myself echo. Okay, I can only hear myself.
So I put you up to the microphone with my headphones. Can you guys hear now?
Can you guys hear me now? There's a terrible echo.
Oh, is there? Let me see. Well, they can hear you now. Adam said...
Can you hear me now? Yay!
Yeah. So you said, since we've been talking about this, that some paranormal stuff has been happening. What's been going on?
Well, like the night that we started talking about it, the watch busted. Exactly the time that we started talking about it, the watch busted. And I keep seeing this entity around, and it startles me at first. I mean, it's a little threatening, but it's not too threatening to where it scares me. It just kind of startles me when I see it. But, walking by the door, and I have a window in my door, and seeing somebody stand there. And, with the watch busting and the car going crazy that night, and there's just been some things that have been going on that have been a little bit spooky, but not
like I said, threatening. You know, it just kind of startles me, because I got over a long time ago. I really got over after going through what I went through in California. When I was in California, and like I said, I don't know, it started when we were so young, and I don't know if it's the same, I call it a demon, that, because I've seen ghosts my whole life. You know, we've seen ghosts our whole life. When I was real little, I used to talk to ghosts. I could talk to them, but if you don't really hone that gift, you will end up losing it. So I got to where I just only see them, and so my gift is seeing them.
When you have a gift, it's like the tiniest ember in a pitch black room. You could see it, and they're drawn to that.
And a lot of them just want to be recognized. You know, they're out there, and you know, a lot of humans can't see them. So I think when they see that ember in that pitch black room, they're drawn to it. And almost always, you know, and I always make the joke, like, you know, I know it's a ghost. You know how I know it's a ghost? Because I can see through it. And it's always, you know, like, ha, 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 you know, but it's really true. I know it's because if it wasn't for the fact that I could see through them, you would know that a lot of them were ghosts. You know, because, I mean, they're that vivid, they're that human, they're that bad. But the thing that had terrorized me, you know, from the time that Mom died, where I would see, you know, the beautiful man dressed in the tuxedo suit, and just the very handsome man in the long limousine, you know, motioning me to come to him, you know. And I don't know, like I said, if it's that same thing that has followed me, you know, through my life. But when I went to California, and I feel like, you know, it may have been the same entity, the one that tried to rape me, just in a different form. But when I went to California, I was terrorized by, you know, they call it night terrors, but I was terrorized by a demon that would come over me when I was sleeping. And it happened every time I fell asleep. And it would immobilize me, and, you know, and I would see fire, and it would just put a fear over me. And like, I could tell you everything going on in the whole room. I could tell you what this person was doing, and what that person was doing, what the person beside me was doing, what was on the TV. It was like I was out of my body, but I couldn't get out of my body. Like, my body was asleep, but I was fully aware. And that's why I say I feel like I was kind of out of my body, because I could see everything going on in the room, but it looked like I was asleep. And I could scream and scream and scream, and my body would not make a sound. And the only thing I could do would be to sometimes grunt, or sometimes just whimper. And I would, because I'd be trying to wake up so bad and trying to move. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't do nothing. And it terrified me. I mean, it totally, totally terrified me to have that, you know, to have that imprisonment, and to have that, you know, something to have that kind of power over you. And I would tell people, and all I could do is whine sometimes. And I would tell people, if you hear me whining, wake me up, because I'm trying to wake up and I can't. And I mean, that went on for a couple of years, and it just got to the point to where I went from being terrified to it making me angry. And when it started making me angry, I started fighting back. And when I started fighting back, because I felt like, if you're going to take me, you're going to take me. And then I realized, well, you can't take me, because if you could, you would have. So then when I got mad, and I got very angry, and I started fighting back, and then I started fighting back, you know, I really started fighting back with God, and just, you know, saying the Lord's Prayer over and over, and just, you know, I don't belong to you, and just fighting it. And it took a long time to break that. And I remember the exact time that I broke it. There was just fire everywhere, and I was so angry, and I was just saying the Lord's Prayer and telling him, I don't belong to you. I do not belong to you. You do not own me. You cannot take me. You cannot do nothing. And it was broken. And I mean, it was just such a freeing feeling, because I had been tormented for like 2 years every time I fell asleep. And I got to where I would hardly ever go to sleep, because if I would just accidentally doze off, it would happen. And it was just one of the most terrifying things I think that I have ever been through. But when it was broken, and then I just started seeing ghosts, and I haven't, you know, and when it was broken, it's been broken. And that's been 30 years ago, you know, so, yeah.
Yeah,
It's been
and
30
it is
years
scary.
ago.
The one that I had an experience with, and I did tell this last time I remember, but, you know, I've seen several different shadow figures in my room. Generally, they'll stand at the end of the bed or whatnot, but this particular one, I was settling down for a nap for the basically pre-show, getting ready for the band that night, because my husband's in a band, and we figured we'd take a nap, that way we'd be rested for the evening. And then Vern goes to sleep so quickly. We're always on different pages when it comes to sleep and such. And then all of a sudden, there's no windows in this room, it's just black, which is cool when you're trying to sleep. But all of a sudden I saw this figure that was darker than dark, and it just it didn't talk, but I could hear it in my mind. It was like telepathically talking to me, and I was frozen, like you said, and I hadn't even gone to sleep yet, but I had seen him, and then I was frozen, and he said that he would have me, and I was like, no, you can't have me. And he laughed, and when he did, you could see his teeth, and they were sharp and shiny, actually glowing in the dark, sharp, shiny, glimmering teeth. And he leaned down and kissed me, and it sent this shock through my body, through my canines up into my head and all the way down to my toes, and it hurt. But at that point, I was able to move my feet, because like you said, you can't move, you can't do anything. And so I was able to start kicking my feet frantically and making the muffled screaming and trying to talk to Vern, help me sort of thing. And luckily, me kicking around and everything, he felt it and woke up, and he actually saw this being in the room and grabbed me and pulled me towards him, and then it just disappeared. But out of all the shadow figures that I'd ever seen, that one was the most evil and wicked. And on the way to work the very next day, I kept looking in my rearview mirror, is it going to be in my back seat, or is it going to be on my back of my car? I just feel like it's going to follow me, but it didn't, because I think it had so much prey to feed off of there at that bar and in the band room, because bands are just crazy and go through so much things. And somebody was asking, well, Adderallian was asking what kind of music does he play. It's kind of like a southern rock sort of music. They do all originals, but of course, being in a bar, you got to do covers as well. But that is freaking. I'm glad you being able to put that message across to him, Cathy, that it did make him go away. You can't have me, and it eventually went away.
No, because I really firmly believe that if you don't open the door to let them in, if you don't invite them in, except in extreme cases, they cannot come in. They cannot, and that was the one thing that through the whole experience that I learned, was that they can't hurt me. So, because there's been some dark entities before that would be lurking around, but I didn't let that fear, and I just pushed them away. And that, that really, you see a lot of horror movies and stuff like that, and I know that people get demon possessed, and I don't know what kind of door or kind of window they opened. And I feel like when we were children playing around with the witchcraft books and stuff like that, and whatever Mom was into, I feel like that made them an attraction to us because of our gift, for one thing, and because of I know me and our brother Greg, we were casting spells, we were doing spells out of a spell book, and we thought it was funny, we were going to turn something into a frog, and we were going to do this, but then it got real not funny quick. It got real not funny quick. And I really feel like the Black Lady came, and she came to protect us. But at the time, it scared me because there was something else in that house. There was something else in that house that was not good. And, like her telling me to close the window, and having that predator out there, and just, it's, sometimes what we think is there to hurt us is actually there to help us, and I was terrified of her, but I feel like she kept something at bay, but I don't feel like it was kept at bay enough to keep our mother alive, because I feel like, especially the things that I've seen after Mom died, I feel like that, Mom wouldn't relent, and I feel like, that they had a hand in taking her. And but I know because of an experience I had when, after Mom died and we went to Germany, and we had to go to Germany, and that was when the entity tried to rape me. And I got in with a couple people who were into some deep witchcraft and stuff, and they used to do some crazy things, like he would skin her and stuff like that. Like he would remove some of her skin and just do some crazy stuff like that. But they took me on a journey one time down into depths, like it was almost like a hypnotism thing, and took me down in the depths. And because they said that they were going to free our mother, and I remember going down there, and they took me to this castle that was, and like I said, it was in my mind, but I could see it so clear. And like when I would run into a wall, I could feel it. And I remember, and I came into this room, and they said, "Your mother's not here. So your mother's never been here." So I do know that. And I do know that when, years later, when I got in that bad car wreck, and I was supposed to die, the wheel jerked on the car, and there was no explanation for the wheel jerking on the car, and it caused me to go up the bank and do a figure 8 and come across the bank, and we were going off of a 25-foot ravine to a dry riverbed. Because we were up on the mountain. It's the tallest peak in between here and the Rockies. It's where the pig trail is, Tess, the Ozark Mountains. And we hit a tree, and we T-boned another tree, and that's what stopped us. If we had not hit those 2 trees, but when all 4 wheels were in the air and I could see the tops of the trees, I knew I was going to die. I knew it. I had such a peace about it. I wasn't worried about my kids. I wasn't worried about the aftermath that was going to be left behind. I was at such peace. And I remember thinking to myself, because everything was going in slow motion. And I mean, all 4 of our wheels were off the ground, and I could see the tops of trees. And I just remember thinking, wow, it was so beautiful. Like, I was totally at peace. And I was like, it's so beautiful. And I was like, I wonder if Mom's view before she died was this beautiful, because I was going to die. I knew it. And then I woke up in the hospital, and when I woke up in the hospital, I had broke my tibia and fibula. Everybody in the car was safe. My Thea had a seatbelt injury from the seatbelt, because we were all wearing seatbelts, which we never did. Like, we never wore seatbelts.
Yeah, I went around the car like a million times before you guys left and made sure, because she was so tired too. I was like, don't take off your seatbelt whatsoever. Like, you can kind of loosen it and lay over on Gus or whatever, but please don't take your seatbelt off. And I did. I went around the car like a million times, and I'm like, do not take these off, because I knew something was going to happen. And then when the helicopter flew over, I'm like, it's Cathy, and I was freaking out, and Greg got all pissed off at me, and I'm just like, I know it's her, and it's, it made me mad because, I was begging Richard to let you stay because I felt like you guys weren't safe, like something was going to happen, and he just would not have it. And I'm like, you'd rather her die than stay here and be safe because you think something else is going on.
And I had the same feeling too, and I begged him, please, I need to stay. I cannot go. Something's going to happen. I'm too tired. And he just insisted on it. I just had a feeling. I wish I would have been more honed into that feeling, because I'm telling you, the wheel jerked. Like, the wheel completely jerked. Like, something grabbed a hold of it and jerked it. And when it did, it caused us to totally lose control. But when I was in the hospital, and one of my best friends came up there, and she told me, she said, oh my God, I've got to tell you, I had a vision. She said, I had a vision of your mom. And I'm like, of my mom? And she said, yes. And I didn't tell her that I knew I was going to die. They had me on so many pain meds because my tibia and fibula were broke, and she said, your mom went to God and pleaded God for your life. And I was like, oh my God, because I was going to die. And God granted my mom what she asked. God granted Mom's wish. Mom begged him for my life. And so I feel like that God gave me my life, because I really, really feel in my heart, I know that I was going to die. I know it. So that's why I'm not afraid of dying anymore, because I know that no matter the circumstances, when you're truly going to die, you have no fear. You have no fear, you have no pain, you have no nothing. You don't worry about nothing. And that gives me peace too. that gives me peace. And it gives me peace that whatever it was that was trying to take Mom didn't get her. Because if he had, she would not have been able to go to God for me. You know what I mean? And that makes me happy. That makes me happy because I feel like they wanted Mom for her gift and she wouldn't relent. You know, that's what I firmly believe.
Yeah, and it's funny, you were saying you felt that jerk on your steering wheel, like it wasn't natural, and you were actually on a paved road. I was on a dirt road, and we went up, I can't even remember what it's called, but there's like sheer drop-offs. It's like 2,500, 2,000 feet down to the dry riverbed, and it, you know, goes higher and higher and higher the more you go up, and it was so beautiful. And I was thinking, you know, if I ever die in a place, I want it to be a place like this, like something so beautiful. And then, you know, I hear Brother Rankin in my head telling me, you know, it's important to control your thoughts because the mind is a powerful thing, and, you know, certain thoughts that you think can make things happen. And we went up and swam and everything, and then coming back down, like Vern's clutching the OS handle, like, you know, he's about to die, and I looked over at him. I was like, don't worry, like, I'd never do anything to hurt you, you know. And I have Kinsey in the car, and she's, you know, my partner in life. Like, it was me and her against the world for 2 years. And we go around this corner, and I hit some corduroy in the road, and it makes me fishtail, but I get it under control. And like you said, all of a sudden it felt like somebody just grabbed the wheel and yanked it. And luckily I had controlled it through the fishtail because we would have gone off a 500-foot cliff into the dry riverbed. But at this point we were only on a 50-footer, and we hit, and it was so bedded with pine needles that it was soft, like the dog. I'm driving a like 84 Toyota Tercel 4-wheel drive vehicle, and it's got a moonroof, not a sunroof, so you don't have the glass in it. It's just open. And Tyler flew from the very, very back all the way through the window, and the car landed on him with his body in the window there, the moonroof. And had there not been that bed of pine needles, like, he would have totally died. But like you said, the trees caught us. And there was 2 trees that kept us from continuing to roll because we hit and then landed sideways. And we would have just kept rolling and gone down into, you know, 500 feet into the abyss of the dry riverbed. And it didn't happen because the trees caught us. And the next day we were all tripped out about it. Like, are we going to go back up to the car, and our bodies are going to be there, and you know, what's going to happen? So it was pretty freaky, but...
The trees catching us, like, it really makes me think that trees have life. Trees have to have some kind of life. You know, trees are old, and I mean, I just feel like trees have some kind of soul. I don't have an explanation for that, but I just really feel like, I don't know. I don't know what made me say that, but I just could see the trees having life and just catching us like that because they caught both of us, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was weird because, really, like, I felt like there was, you know, even after Mom died and she didn't fulfill what this dark thing wanted her to do, she went the other way and was like, okay, then I'll just give my life and leave my kids alone. But I felt like something was after me for years. And once I reached the age of 35, then I was like, okay, I'm out of the woods. Like, it can't get me anymore. I've gone past this certain amount of time that it had to come after me, and I don't feel like it can touch me anymore. And so after that, like, all this anxiety that I had about it, like, something's coming after me, something wants me, I don't have it anymore. I don't feel like I'm going to die in a car accident. And like you said, I think Mom was there pleading for our life. Like, I didn't do this thing that this dark thing wanted me to do, and I sacrificed my life for my kids. Please let my kids continue to live.
Yes. And see, and I really felt that way too. I really felt that I was going to die at the age that Mom died. I really felt like at the age of 32 that I was going to die before the age of 32. Somehow, like you said, like something was after me, and I really firmly believe that it was. You know, I really firmly believe that it was, and you know, but I feel like, you know, like our brother Greg, you know, he went to a psychic one time, and the psychic told him, "You have a spider web over you," and he's like, "A spider web? What do you mean?" And she's like, "It's a web of protection. Like, you have a web of protection over you." And I feel like that's why Greg wasn't terrorized. And Gary was just so closed off to everything. He blocked everything out. And, you know, he ended up getting terrorized later, if you'll remember. Like, a few years ago, he was getting, all this stuff was come washing back because, like, the stuff that we dealt with at the time and the things going on at the time, he totally blocked out. and it came rearing its ugly head, some years later. And
yeah, I felt bad about that because I shared a couple stories with him, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry that I forgot that. I can't believe I forgot that. Like, why did I do that? I feel so terrible." And I'm like, your mind is there to protect you, and it blocks certain things out that you cannot handle, and it figured, you can't handle this, so let's put this in the subconscious where you don't really realize it's happened, and it was some really horrible, terrible things, but I felt terrible that I reopened that door for him because he has really been going through a lot since then, and I feel somewhat guilty.
Yeah, but he was going through it too by finding that Bible. Remember, he found that satanic Bible or whatever in his house. Just some really crazy things were happening, and it was like opening up his memory to things that he had totally blocked out for years. So it's really best. I mean, I know that our mind does that to protect ourselves, but it's really best to kind of deal with things as they come, to go through them, not to go under them or over them, but to go through them, just like with emotions. When you feel angry or you feel sad, it's best to feel the emotion and to go through it than it is to avoid it, because all that does is lead to, being bottled up and, an explosion happen.
Mm-hmm.
An explosion happening. So, but I really feel like, and then being up there on the mountain with Richard and, seeing just a plethora of things going on up there, the takers, and, and I was afraid the takers were back because I kept getting stuff taken. Like after we had our little radio show, I just kind of had all this kind of little things that were happening that haven't happened in years. And I had to tell the takers to stop. I was like, stop taking my stuff. Stop. I'm the only one here. I know it's y'all. Stop taking my stuff. But yeah, it's been, and I was doing this paint job this weekend, and I was doing this paint job, and it was me and my partner, and it was like the house was like kind of like an L shaped, and she was at one end and I was at the other end, and I kept seeing a lady standing on the ground watching me, and I would turn and look, and she wouldn't be there. So I'd look at my partner. She's up on the ladder. So I'm up on the ladder, and I'm painting more, and I see the lady again. And I could see her more clearly the second time, and it was an older lady wearing, like an apron, and she was kind of frumpy, and she was just standing there watching me. And I got to talking to the owners of the house, and the house had been in the family for years, and the mother and father had lived there until they died, and then the aunt lived there until she died. And so I was like, well, it's the aunt. I know it's the aunt. The aunt was watching us to make sure we were doing a good job. And she just continued to watch us, but she was in this one certain part of the house. But the whole feel of the whole property was really, really authentic, and really, you could feel the age in the house. Like you could feel the history, especially in the back of the house. And there was an old well, and that lady she was making sure that we were taking care of the property. She was making sure we were doing what we needed to be doing, and she just stood there and watched us. So that was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting, but stuff like that, it doesn't spook me anymore. It really doesn't. Now, some things, like I say, will startle me. Like if I'm not expecting it, and boom, there they are, it kind of startles me. But for the most part, now I just kind of find comfort in it, because I know that like they're drawn to me for certain things. Now the other night when we did the other radio show, and my car was completely going crazy, that kind of scared me, because when I'm up here where, it's with my lights are off, it's outside, it's pitch black. You could see every star and every galaxy. It's such a beautiful place. And when I go outside and it's pitch black and I come in the house, an hour later, I go back outside and my headlights are on. And my first thought is, what's going on? Who's in my car? Who's in my car? And, and it scared me. It scared me so bad that I went running out there like a banshee. And when my keys are in the house, the car lights are on. And then it went from the car lights, okay, turn the car lights off, go in the house for a little while. And I'm walking by the door and the car lights are on again. And then you'll remember, because we were on live Skype, remember? And the lights were just going, ding, 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 going crazy.
Yeah, and you were
I just
even
really,
like outside smoking at one point, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, it did it again!" And you turn the camera around, and we're like, "Ah!"
yes. I mean, it got so bad that I had to unplug the battery. Like, I mean, it kept me up almost all night long, and it was just really, really creepy. And you know, it hasn't done it since that night. Has not done it since that night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm sorry that we kind of, reawakened some things there. But at the same time, like you said, it doesn't scare me. And that's why I love doing paranormal investigation with Four Corners Paranormal. And I actually enjoy it. And my kids get freaked out about ghosts. And yeah, they are scary to children because you don't really realize what it is. And it is scary. The unknown is scary. And Robert's asking, it hasn't happened since, though, has it, Cathy?
What's that, the lights?
Yeah.
The lights? No, the lights have not happened since. Like, they went totally crazy that night. They went from going off and on. I mean, they would just be on, and I would go out there, and I would turn them off, and I would come in the house, and a little while later, the lights would be on again. And then the one time I was on the porch, then they started blinking on and off, blinking, 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 blinking. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, I was trying to figure out how to unhook the battery and couldn't figure out how to unhook the battery because the battery in the car is just in a really weird place. But, yeah, no, it hasn't happened since then. But that night, and it was the same night that, like, my watch shattered, and it was a very sturdy watch. It wasn't just, like a cheap Walmart watch. It was a $400 watch, and the face of it just shattered. And it was crazy because it did it at exactly the time that the radio show happened. But it doesn't scare me. Like, it doesn't scare me. I know if you don't use the gift, you will lose the gift. So it actually, in a way, tickles me because I don't ever want to lose this gift that I have. I never, ever want to lose a gift. I've already lost the gift from when I was little, being able to talk to them because I would talk to them all the time, to now I only see them. And I really admire you, Tess, because you have such a gift. Like, you are so gifted. And I just really admire that, because you do have such a gift. And I love hearing about, I love that you do what you do. And I brag about you all the time to everybody because you are just that good and that authentic that, you're just that authentic. Think about our time when we went to the battlefield.
Yeah.
That we went to the battlefield. And just all the things that were going on and that we were seeing and that, and ghosts are not there to hurt us. Just like at the battlefield when the ghost told us, behind you, and we're like, what's behind us? And it was the police. It's like, they're not here to hurt you. Like, he was warning us about the police, He was telling us that the police is right behind you. You need to look behind you. And it was funny because it was our niece, Natalie, who actually had the voice box and she was like, she was hearing it, and he was saying, behind you. And so, and I was thinking like it was a ghost or an entity or something was behind us, and then here come the police, driving up behind us. So I was like, well, thank you.
Yeah, I remember you went down that path kind of by yourself. We went down so far, but you kept going, and then all of a sudden...
Because I could feel something down there.
Yeah, and you're like, ah, because something had said, what are you doing? And so you came running up the path, and I actually snapped a picture, and you're like, erase that right now. And I was like, I got to keep this for my memory. I'm not going to share it with anybody else, but that look on your face was just priceless, like the pure horror, and I kind of feel bad for you, but at the same time, it was kind of funny because it wasn't a ghost. It was actually the cop that was coming up the trail. That was funny.
Yeah, and then remember some of the pictures. Like, I remember one of the pictures that I wish if you still have the pictures, I wish you'd send them to me again. But I remember like one of the pictures, like half of my face was distorted and the other half was just fine. Like there was a ghost standing in front of me. Like there was a ghost standing there. You know what I mean? So it's like part of me was blurry and then the other part was normal. And yeah, and I don't know what the deal is with the red light, if it's like if they were just red orbs or what, but I mean they were everywhere and only Ashley could see them. She was like, "What's this red light? What's this red light?" And then there was red lights in the pictures there were red lights everywhere that nobody could see but her. But yeah, I can't wait to go on it.
Adam's saying cops are scarier.
Huh?
Adam was saying cops are scarier.
Yeah, cops are very scarier. I wish they would have warned me about them many times.
Yeah, we had a lot of experiences. I wish you could have gone with us the next couple nights we went because I think, was it the first night that Nova saw the individual in the original house, which it wasn't original because it was burnt down, but they built it to the original status of what it was, to, T by T of the blueprint. And she saw this guy running up the stairs. Were you there for that?
No, I missed that.
She saw a guy in like a khaki colored uniform running up the stairs, and I'm thinking Civil War, there's blue and gray, so maybe it was a park ranger or something that really loved the place and decided to stay in this house as a ghost. And then, the cops chased us out, and then the next day, so it was that night, so maybe you were doing something else, but the next day we went to sign the permission slips to be in there and legitimately, do what we were doing. And we're walking around, me and Ashley, killing time, and all of a sudden we come across this dummy wearing the uniform of a Civil War offshoot, and it was from Prairie Grove, Arkansas, and they wore khaki colored uniforms with gold embellishments on them, so that was pretty interesting. Wow. And I was like, awesome. Nova actually saw, I think it was the general there, and he had actually left his wife and gone, for a younger girl, but she was still there and her kids were still there, and I know I have video somewhere, but I can't find it. But there's video of the EMF antenna going off, and it's communicating with us. We're asking questions, and it's, giving one for yes or two for no, or just beep, 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 and it was pretty awesome. But then she also saw, and I can't remember what this experiment is called, but you play, no, BTO said, "What'd you call me, Tessa? I know, dummy." No, I wasn't talking about you, BTO.
Hey, BTO.
But you can play sounds from that era, whether it's music. I chose a Civil War battle sound from YouTube and played that, and then I have these speakers sticking out the window, and I'm using the FLIR camera, and I can see explosions behind the tree line. It's just like boom, 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 along with the sounds that are coming through the speakers. And I'm showing Ashley, and I'm like, "Are you seeing this? This is so crazy," and it really blew my mind. This is actually working. This experiment is actually working. And then all of a sudden, Nova could see a ghost running past the car and ducking into the tree line.
As far as being able to feel, doesn't she have the gift to be able to feel what they feel? Is it Nova that has the gift to be able to do that?
Yeah, actually all my kids have gifts, and Floyd just infiltrated my studio. I don't know if you guys heard him knocking and yelling, "Mom, can I come in?" But they all have gifts, and they all have seen things. Kinsey's more of the healer type person. She can lay her hands on you and know what's wrong with you and do things to help you. Nova is able to see things and feel what the spirit is feeling, and that's what freaked her out that night. It wasn't the fact that the soldier ran past our car and jumped into the tree line, because we had basically, and it made me feel really guilty playing these Civil War sounds. I actually traumatized the spirits there, and
kind of scared them.
Yeah, the spirit ran by and ducked into the tree line, trying to get away from gunfire or cannon fire or whatnot. And I was telling her, "Don't be afraid of the ghosts. We're all gonna be ghosts someday." And I tell all my kids that. But she's like, I wasn't afraid of the ghost. I was feeling scared. I was feeling what he was feeling, and it really freaked me out. And I was like, I totally understand that, and don't feel bad about that at all.
I can do this.
Stop.
I can put it like this.
Oh,
he's moving my table around. I'm like, come on, quit messing with my computer table.
Well, yeah, there's just some really, just there's so much more to this life than what we just see with our eyes. We're just, I look forward to one day being able to just know everything. Just being able, and our mind is so powerful that, just think of what we could do if we could use more of our mind. as powerful as our mind is now, if we could use, they say the average human uses 10% of your mind. If you could use more of your mind, imagine the things that we could do. So, but there's just so much more out there than what we actually see and what we actually experience, unless you're gifted, you know. And a lot of people ignore the gifts because they're afraid of it, or afraid of condemnation, or what people will think or what people will say about them, and
judgment and ridicule. And it's so harsh. And that's what, you know, I always say, it kept me in the paranormal closet. Like, I stayed in the paranormal closet for so long because you have friends and you tell them the story, and most of them look like you're freaking out of your mind, and the other ones are like, oh yeah, you know, this happened to me, and then they'll share their stories, but it's very few and far between sometimes. And that's why I like it here, and I like to call it SOR Asylum, because it's like my paranormal family, and we're all a little crazy, and but I mean, I'm glad that I did come out of the closet, and I'm glad that I'm able to help people try to better understand this, or coexist with the spirits that is there, because some do terrible things to try to get you out. They make you fight. They do so many different things to make you scared and feed off that energy. But others are just not wanting to be forgotten, and just want their message to get across.
Yes, absolutely agree.
And Rano's saying, Tessa, when is our Weekend Sunday Ghost Box coming? And Rano, we're actually going to do that tonight. And like I was saying, I tried the ghost box in here earlier, and all I was getting was static, but hopefully something will come through. And the astral team that I had come in last weekend actually got rid of the negative entity that was here. It got really hot in my studio, and she's like, you're going to feel warmth and tingling. And I was like, it's not warm, it's hot. And then after that, you could feel the energy totally change. And like I said, I've been sleeping better. There's less contention and fighting and such, and so it's been really awesome. But at the same time, I'm like, is this ghost box gonna work? That generally I get a lot of things coming through, but now tonight I'm not. So
maybe they really got rid of him.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, I know John is still here, because I was like, leave John alone. Like, he died here from emphysema, and he's a really cool guy, and he has freaked the kids out a couple times, just showing himself and trying to communicate, but otherwise, yeah, the other entity was not good. Did you get cigars? What, go get
it. So when it's really active around here, when I hear a lot of things going on around here, the coyotes will circle my house, and they will just howl and howl and howl. And I'm wondering if they can see it too. If they can really see what's going on.
So BTO is asking, has Cathy experienced only terrestrial, which is earthbound, paranormal events, or has she experienced UFO extraterrestrial interdimensional experiences? Have you had any ET UFO experiences?
No, not that I'm aware of, although I truly believe in UFOs and aliens, and I have a theory about aliens, but I do believe that they're out there. I don't believe that we're the only ones here on this planet. I do believe that, I feel like that, you know, I talked about that we only use 10% of our brain, and the power that we have with 10% of our brain on average is so powerful that I really believe that aliens have the capacity to use maybe 100% of their brain or 80% of their brain, that they are just so advanced in evolution further than we are. I mean, I truly believe in UFOs. I believe that I've seen a UFO before a couple of times, but not nothing that was targeted to me or put to me or anything like that. What about you, Tessa? Do you believe in UFOs?
Well, you know, our dad, JT, would talk about stuff like that, and I don't remember him ever saying a specific story of anything that had happened to him. I remember being in the car, me and John, with him one time, driving down some highway somewhere, and all of a sudden, like, all these cars were pulling over on the side of the road, and everybody's pointing up at the sky, and there's these lights that are approaching us slowly, and then all of a sudden we realize that it's like 4 helicopters in a formation, and so everybody got back in their car like, we thought we were experiencing a UFO. But
well, the other night I was standing outside on my porch, and I was standing out there with a friend of mine, and we seen these lights, and it looked like plane lights. But, you see planes in the sky all the time. But this plane was moving so fast that it went from being where you couldn't hardly see it and just went super fast. Like, it couldn't have been a plane. There's no way a plane can go this fast in the sky. And it really made me think that it was something like that.
Yeah, and I know there's different, like, government technology and things out there that we don't know about because they don't share everything with us. Even if there are aliens out there, they're denying. And, even with normal everyday things, they're hiding it from us. But there are craft out there that they are, working on, like reverse engineering. They're going through wrecked spacecraft that they had found and reverse engineering it and trying to figure out a way to make our own UFOs, which they've been doing since, I think, around World War I or shortly before that. But in 2012...
Well, they do that. They're doing that. Look at all the science and stuff that they do, that they take nature, and they take things of nature, and they're trying to replicate it into science because it's so amazing. So, yeah, I could see them doing that. And I know... there are things in the military that, like you said, like they won't tell us everything. They would scare the hell out of America, out of the world, if we knew everything that they really knew. I mean, it would cause mass hysteria. Of course, it wouldn't scare me because I wake up in beast mode, but it would really scare your average person.
Yeah, and Adderalien, or Adderalien, whatever you want to call him, was saying World War I, question mark. And yeah, if you look back at the Germans and what they were doing, they actually had a saucer-looking craft, but it really didn't get more than about 6 inches off the ground, and it was teetering back and forth, and they just really hadn't harnessed that technology that they had found. They were trying, but it wasn't working. And then somebody else in here was asking a question, and it was Adam, and Adam's asking, have y'all been terrified without seeing anything but just feeling it?
Yes.
Well, paint us a picture. Like, I've had the same thing. Like, you can't see anything, but you could just feel the difference, and you feel the goosebumps raising up on your arm as if a predator is watching you or whatnot, and something not good is there. But yeah, it's pretty trippy.
You should always go with your feeling. If you have a feeling that something's going on, or you have a feeling that something's there, it most likely is there. It's just not manifesting itself enough for you to be able to see it. But most definitely go with those gut feelings, because it's like your sixth sense. Go with your gut. People say go with your gut. It's like that you go with your sixth sense. And if you feel it, it's there, even if you can't see it. Even if you cannot see it, you can feel it. It's just like you should always, even with people, same with people. If you're around somebody and they're giving you a bad feeling, stay away from that person. And it's just the same with entities. If you get a feeling that something's going on, don't try to just run in there with guns. Stay away from it. Get away from whatever situation that is, because I definitely believe that everybody has a sixth sense, that gut feeling that tells you when something's not right. If something's not right, move away from it.
Yeah, and I'm really good at meeting people. I don't even have to talk to them, and I know whether or not I want to be around them or not. And if I get a bad feeling, I just don't want to be around that person. Well, why do you feel that way? This guy is totally cool. No, he's not. There's something wrong with him.
No, something.
There's something dark with him, and I don't want to be subjected to it because I might be the next victim. which has happened several times. So I learned to listen to my gut and trust my instinct because, like you said, it has never led me astray.
And you may not even ever know why. You may not ever find out the reason why that person's giving you that feeling, but you don't want to. I can guarantee you don't want to because, you just have that instinct, that gut that tells you when things aren't right. And I think that a lot of people in this world a lot of times will ignore that feeling, ignore that gut feeling, and it causes people a lot of pain and a lot of sorrow, and a lot of hurt. So you should always go with that sixth sense, always.
Yeah, BTO is saying, damn, Skippy, I sense stuff here all the time, and I just tell them, remember, I will leave my body soon, and you will get it before I leave this universe.
Yeah, that's right.
And Adam was saying, how was your feeling? Like, what happened?
Well, which time? I mean, just being around certain people, and just getting a feeling not to be around them. And then if you ignore that feeling, all right, just like, and I think like our bodies, I think that we'll get warnings for things, because I can look back in my past and in times when, I had gotten in trouble and I had warnings like, okay, here's a warning, and I would just ignore it. Okay, well, I got this, and here's another warning. It's like the warning before destruction, and you'll only get warned so many times before you get that destruction. So I think that we should just really be, just really be in tune to that, because it can really help us a lot. It can be a very helping tool if we allow it to be.
For sure. Well, on that note, we got to go to our first break. Did you want to hang out for a little bit longer, or did you need to say goodbye to everybody?
Oh, I think I need to say goodbye. I hate to, because I really love being on the show, but I do have a lot of obligations early in the morning, and I need to be all perky for them. So I just want to tell everybody thank you for having me on, and I look forward to coming on in the future, and because I just love what you're doing, and just wanted to tell everybody good night, and we'll do it again real soon.
All right. Love you, sister. I'm so glad you came on.
Okay. Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
Bye, everybody.
Looking for nighttime adventure? Old school radio that delves into everything out of the norm? Then check us out at Spaced Out Radio. This is Dave Scott. Every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, we're going to take you on a wild ride ranging from conspiracies to true crime and every ghost, alien, and Sasquatch story in between. We're always live, and we're always interactive with you. So join us at spacedoutradio.com, where together, we own the night.
Hey, guess what? You can now get your brand new Spaced Out Radio swag at spacedoutradio.com. We've brought the store back with all new items for you to pick out and pick up for yourself, your family, or friends. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, we got it all. All you have to do is head to our website and click on Store. Choose what you want and it's shipped to you. The Spaced Out Radio store is right there for you. Come shop with us at spacedoutradio.com. Then we can own the night together.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else. including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
If you're heading to Vancouver, make sure you stop by the official bar of Spaced Out Radio, the Moose Vancouver. It's the place to party in YVR. At the corner of Nelson and Granville, the Moose Vancouver is always up to speed with a kitchen staff that serves great food. All food on the menu, $6.95 to $8.95. There's a reason the Moose Vancouver is recognized as one of the hottest spots on the West Coast. Get your horns up for the Moose Vancouver.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother Is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You can follow Tessa on Twitter at TessaTNT, on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, back to Spaced Out Weekend host, Tessa Nicole Thomas.
Hear the sound again, voices dancing in my head, smile wide, drowning slowly as the echoes rise.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. And it's so crazy, like, I don't know why I couldn't hear Cathy. And then I muted the commercial, came back from what I was doing, and I couldn't even hear the commercial. So I hope you guys were able to hear it. It's just weird, all these weird things that are going on. But yeah, she had to leave because she's got work tomorrow. She's got a muggle job that she's got to attend to, and she's being a responsible adult. I wish I could say that for myself. But I'm hoping you guys will call in with your ghost stories, and the phone number to do that is 1-970-335-9596. That's 1-970-335-9596. And yeah, Trip and Sandra and Rano are saying, yes, we could hear you, and we can hear the commercial, so that's good. I'm hoping when the callers call in that it'll work. If not, I'll just do the whole thing with putting the headphones up there and letting people do that. But otherwise, you guys are just going to hear me ramble on forever. But I was talking to Cathy about Halloween's past that we'd had together and some weird, freaky experiences that we had had. And my dad has always been into videography. He used to be on a television station in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and he'd also bounce in bars because he was quite a large man of stature. He was 6 foot, whatever, about like 3 foot wide as far as broadness, and just a large man. So he'd be gone at night while us kids were home alone. And we did have older siblings for the most part till they went back with their dad. But I remember one Halloween, all of us kids are at home, left to our own concoctions, and we did this Bloody Mary thing, which I'm only like 7 years old at the time, and you know, I'm thinking all these crazy things that are going to happen. And we did try it repeatedly because we had failed after failed experiment. But then all of a sudden, yes, Rano, we're going to do the ghost machine tonight. Hopefully it'll work because, like I said, I was dinking around with the ghost machine earlier. The P-SB7, which is my favorite, I wasn't able to get a hold of the P-SB11 because my teammate Jamie has it. And I would call her, but I know she works a general, regular job as well. She calls herself a recycling vampire. She takes people's blood and recycles it through machines and feeds it back into their body. But I gave her all of my equipment to take ghost hunting with her mom. So I only have the SB7, but the SB11, it is like, it's got so many buttons, and you can do 2 different channels as far as, you know, you can sweep forward on this one, sweep backwards on this one, or use different speeds or whatever you'd like it. And like Corey was saying, it's a bit convoluted. Like there's just too much stuff going on with it. And I actually have had better experience with this SB7, but I'm wondering if the paranormal research and astral team that I had on this last weekend, if them clearing out the house for me actually had some sort of negative effect on such equipment, because generally before I'd have all kinds of stuff coming through on this. But we can totally try it. And I'm reading what Adderallian says. Trinitrotolian. We all heard your explosive voice. Aren't we getting the ghost machine tonight? If you want, we can do that. But let me finish this one story that I remember particularly with Cathy and Gary and Greg, which are... yes, simmer down now, Rano. Simmer. But yeah, we were experimenting with this Bloody Mary thing, and we weren't having much luck with it. And then all of a sudden, you know, we have this shower, and there's this thing above the shower in front of the window, and my dad's girlfriend had all kinds of different plants on it. And one of the plants all of a sudden looked like a hand hanging down with blood dripping off of it. And we're seeing all sorts of different things. And then all of a sudden we see this woman standing behind us that was not there before. It was just us kids in the bathroom dinking around with the Bloody Mary thing. And then all of a sudden we're scrambling to try to get out of the bathroom. And so that was pretty crazy. And there was also a song that they were playing. We all gathered on the front porch, and they're talking about these shadow people in the trees. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I look up at the sky, I look up at the trees all the time. And like she was saying earlier, I do believe that trees have spirits. Like I've seen auras on trees and different plants and stuff. So they do have spirits, but they played this particular song, and then all of a sudden, tree after tree after tree, there was this dark sort of like shadow figure just standing in the tree watching us, and that was quite creepy. Otherwise, the creepiest thing after that is my dad having Halloween parties and people partying in the hot tub naked, and the kids were subjected to being isolated to this room upstairs, and somebody had left some matches somewhere. One of us kids got a hold of it. There's a boatload of kids in this house because of all the different people that had come to party, and so we're taking matches and lighting them and throwing them out the window, and unbeknownst to us, there was a mattress down below laying on the ground. I have no idea why, but it ended up catching fire, and you can hear people screaming fire, and there's naked adults running everywhere, and we're just like, holy shnikes. It was quite funny. I actually laughed, but the fire of the mattress was scary, but the house was safe. Nothing caught on fire, and it was pretty interesting. So with this ghost box, like, what do you guys want to do? Do you guys want to call in with your ghost stories? Do you want to call in with a certain question and we'll play the ghost box? Do you want me to just turn the ghost box on and ask different random questions and hope we get something more than fuzz? I'm not sure exactly what you guys would like to do. Well, my mom had passed away, Trip, and so my dad was a single bachelor of 2 kids, and if you count my sister Cathy and my brother Gary and Greg, 5 kids, but they didn't always live with my dad because they had their own dad that would make them go home, which they'd rather stay with us because my dad was a really fun guy. But no, my parents weren't swingers. There's too much jealousy for that sort of thing. But my dad would have wild epic hot tub parties, and I remember coming down the next day, and my dad's girlfriend at the time, Juanette, was passed out in the kitchen dressed like a Black Widow, so that was kind of funny. I laughed at that, climbed over her, and made my way to the bathroom. But yeah, all kinds of crazy things happening in your life as a kid when your dad is a single parent or your mom is a single parent and they love the party life, which my parents always did, which did cause different situations to happen. But it was fun. I'm glad he was having fun and everybody was enjoying themselves in the hot tub. And it was funny, accidentally lighting that fire and seeing all these naked adults running all over the place. I still think back at it and I laugh at it. But yeah, what kind of ghost stories do you guys have? I would really love to hear from you, and I don't know why nobody's calling or letting me know what exactly you guys would like to do for the ghost box. Should we just turn it on and try it out and see what happens? Okay, let me power it up. Ooh. So we can go AM or FM. Let's try AM first. Let's go in alphabetical order and do, okay, sweep forward. Turn it up. Is there anybody here that would like to communicate with us through this ghost box? And if you guys do hear anything, make sure that you write it down. I'm not really hearing anything. Generally, I'd be listening to this through headphones. Yeah, this is the AM station. Is there a message you'd like to share with us? Can you tell us your name? BTO is asking, who is in the presence of not only Tess, but the audience? Is there anyone here that would like to share a message with any of our listeners? Right, Trip? I kind of agree. I'm like, there's nothing coming through. With the veil thinning, I'm hoping something comes through. And some people don't believe in that, but what did you hear, Adam? I heard something try to come through there. You guys tell me what you heard, if you could. You want to go slower, Rano? Okay, let me slow the speed. Are you afraid? Yeah, me too, Kevin. So let's try this other setting. Let's go to FM, which is quite a bit louder. More speed. Let's go backwards this time. Kevin wants to know, can Eleanor Roosevelt come forward? Is there anyone here that would like to share a message with us? Sounded like something tried to come through there. We're here listening, waiting to hear from someone. Anyone that is connected with any of our listeners or anyone here that would like to share their name or a message with us. Yes, add, the antenna is connected and it's fully extended. What is the message? who's here with us. We'd love to hear your message. We know that you don't want to be forgotten and that you have a message that you'd like to convey. Adam wants to know, is it dark where you're at? I heard a little something come through. I couldn't quite hear what it was, as I have the sweeper up to the mic. I'm hoping you guys catch what's going on. Maybe I need a booster for this thing. We want Tupac. Tupac come through. It's a good one, Adam. No, I'm not in an underground bunker or in a lead vault. That is so entirely disappointing. So did anybody get anything out of that? Because like I said, I had turned it on earlier and messed around with it to see what would come through. And like you're saying in here, like all I'm getting is static. I've heard a few things try to come through, but I'm not listening to it on headphones. So I'm hoping you guys were able to get something out of that. If you have any words or anything recorded. Kevin says, nope, nothing. Somebody said they heard hot and yes, and I really didn't hear anything. I think a little bit of a station tried to come through. Yeah, different radios do work, but there's certain parts of the house where things don't like to work. BTO got yes, hence the reason why he asked, what is the message? And we can try it again in forward motion. Okay, so the device we were listening to is the PSB7 Spirit Box. And I've actually gotten a lot of stuff out of this thing. But I'm wondering if doing the cleansing on my house with the spirit that was here might have caused some interference with that. Adam, what do you think you got? Andrew says, not much, but he did some ghost hunting or ghosting earlier yesterday. Andrew, you should call in. 1-970-335-9596. And we can try this again, even though we don't have people in the chat asking for certain questions or whatnot. I'm watching what you're saying as we are doing this. And we can try this again in the forward motion. I wonder, because the other ghost box that I do have has a longer antenna. So perhaps that would work better. Maybe next break I should go grab some foil and make this antenna longer. I don't know if that'll work. Because I am along the side of the house as far as my studio goes, there should be a reception picked up. So right now we are at 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 30 seconds. And we did that for a little bit. I'm not sure if you can go back while the show is recording and listen to what was said. But if you do go back after the show and listen to it and you do hear something, that'd be awesome if you could share it. But we'll try this again. If it does not work, yeah, get on the roof. I don't think my mic and computers will reach that far. But yeah, we'll try it again and see what happens. Full works well. Yes. The window is open. I don't know. Or maybe I can detach the microphone and get it closer to the window and see if that picks up anything. But let's try it again. And see what happens. I got phones. Okay, so I took the mic off. Is there anyone here that wants to communicate with us? What is your name? Ad's got fuzz. Are there any extraterrestrial beings that would like to share something? There's a little blank in there. Adam asks, do you want a beer or a shot? Yes, please. I'm not having much luck with this at all. I wish Bill was here with his ghost box. I wonder if anybody knows how to get a hold of him, if he'd be willing to call in and do some ghost box with us. That'd be awesome. Who are you missing? And I've got it raised up to the window right now. Do you miss anyone or anything? I heard something come through there. We are here and we're listening and we want to hear your message. What would you like to share with us? What is it, Rana? What'd you hear? I heard something come through, so that was interesting. I just couldn't hear what it was. I hope you guys did. Do you miss the feeling of a comfortable bed? What do you miss most about being alive? We're listening and we want to hear your message. Please share with us. What do you miss most about being alive? So I think we'll give this a break for a little bit. Let me power it down, save the battery. Next time we turn it on, we'll try the AM portion. And I'll have to ask Adam, are you lost? Do you miss tormenting me, says Ad. Okay, so Will shared his story, and he says, the first time I had a paranormal encounter, I had to be about 12. I didn't feel like going to church that night. My mom said that she would stay with me, not that I thought I needed protection. Oh wow, how wrong was I? I was hanging my clothes in my closet. I got that load folded and hung up. We didn't have an indoor cat or any cats in general, and I had clothes in my hand to hang up. I looked in the back of my closet and saw 2 large red eyes and a loud hiss. The flea kicked in hard. Apparently, I was screaming because my mom was running down the stairs to see what was going on. We met halfway up or down the stairs. I was a little scrawny thing. I was telling my mom that we needed to get the F out. I had picked her up and moved her back up the stairs. She said that was going back down with a 38. I told her that a gun will not work. I hope that you will read this. Have a good one. Well, thanks so much for sharing, Will. That's an awesome story. I wonder, did you have any more experiences after that? And Kat was saying that's the SB7 though for sure, which I've had a lot of awesome experiences with the SB7. SB11, I had a really good experience there as well. We were down at the X-Rock radio station because Cody Kopp, one of the DJs there, had issues with his things being moved around. And so we went in there and we got a few different entities. At first it was a male, and he was the dominant one of the group. And then we got a female come through. And then we had a young boy, and he actually didn't come through any of the ghost boxes. We could hear him with our own ears. So that was pretty interesting. We went upstairs, downstairs. We went to the back of the building. And then at the very end, we heard the male scream through the SB11, and he said, "Thomas, get out here." And Thomas had been, trying to communicate with us, doing different things, and after that, the SB11 totally kicked off. But you could hear him scream through, and you can hear how it goes hiss, 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 because that's how it's going through the different channels, and that's the rate of sweep that it's doing. But you could hear this voice throughout several sweeps of stations saying, "Thomas, get out here now." And after that, we didn't get any more pings, no more voices, nothing like that. So that was very interesting. Let's see. Do we have any more ghost stories? Do you guys want to dink around with the SB7 a little bit more? I'll go ahead and try doing the AM station and see if we get any more luck with that. And of course, if you guys have any more ghost stories, here, let me look over here at the SOR Space Travelers. And Will was saying that the story that he sent was about a demon, and those are quite scary. Oh no. Harlan thinks that we're on at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but it's actually 9 p.m. So I'll send that to her. Coming over here to SOR Space Travelers. Nope, nobody has a story. So I'll move on. We'll go back to the ghost box. We'll see if we get anything through there. Try our luck a few more times. Hopefully something comes through. What type of box does... Bill has all kinds of different ghost boxes, and they're actually awesome. He's got friends that build them for him, and he's had a lot of success with them. I've had a lot of success with this one in the past, but for some reason, even though the Vail is supposed to be quite thin at this moment, I'm not really getting anything. But I have the SB7 and the SB11, but the SB11 is with a team member of mine, and I haven't gotten that back yet. And that was, right, Andrew? That was a crazy paranormal experience that Will had had. And he was saying he was a little scrawny guy. I remember going to school with him, and he was pretty small there for a little while. Okay, so we're going to try this with the AM forward sweep. Is there anyone that wants to communicate? I'm hearing somebody. Are you guys hearing them? Right now, we're trying to communicate with you. What would you like to tell us? Who is here in spirit form in this house? What do you miss most about being alive? Who are we speaking with? What's it like on the other side? Is the bell really thinning? Who are you? What do we need to know to best live our lives? Are you happy? Is there a particular religion we should follow? My name's Tessa, and we just want to hear from you. What's your message? What do we need to know to live our life to the fullest? Is there someone in the chat room you'd like to get a message to? Do you guys come out more around Halloween, or does it really matter? Can you tell us your name? sweet. We're really happy that you're here. Are you glad we're trying to communicate with you? What message are you trying to share? Alright, we're going to go for now and see what messages everybody got, but we will come back here in just a little bit. Please hang on and please feel free to share your message with us because we are listening. And thank you so much for your time. Well, that was cool. We actually had some stuff finally coming through. I was getting worried. I was like, what's going on? Why is this not working? So I'm going through and reading what some of you have been hearing. Let's see. Robert, thank you for lowering the shields, because we did want to communicate and want to hear what they had to say. Adam says he has a story. Adam, please do share your story, because I love to hear everybody's experiences, and it makes me feel like not such a freak. I know I've had a lot of experiences through my life, but I always love hearing everybody else's experiences and what they've gone through. So let's see. BTO, well, Sandra said she heard something. BTO said he heard, I don't know. Reading. BTO said he heard Tessa N Thomas. Sandra and Andrew were hearing voices. BTO heard Love Me. Yeah, that was a good question, Adam. I should ask that. Is the movie Ghost a good interpretation? BTO heard Spirit, Selfish Entity. And we did have one of those around here, and he got cleared out. Maybe he's talking through the window here of my studio, which is so small. I think it's a 12 by 24. It's a really tiny porthole. Let's see. Trip heard Amazing, Who Are You, Tell Me, and then Stop. BTO heard A Little. Adam said he's hearing a lot. And Andrew, you should call in if you'd like. And do know that our loved ones are always with us. And generally a lot of times when we have flashbacks of memories with them and such, it's actually them trying to convey certain feelings and messages to us. But it's so hard to communicate between the two realms. And it takes so much energy. BTO heard, he said, Craig, I heard Grandpa. Sandra said she heard talk. Ronald said notes, wah, I, so, well, easy on, breathe, mimic, I, are you, stop, yes, message, Ronald, vampire, lady said, music. Sandra said, father. Trippin said, open your closet door, we'll feel a cold draft, and more will be able to come through. I'm actually not in my bedroom, but the closet door is open, and I do feel a breeze right now, and that's funny that you said that. Not really a breeze, but like you said, a cold draft, not harsh, but just ever so slight that you can feel the difference in the atmosphere in here right now. BTO said he heard Mars will never. Ronald, maybe some of the ghosts are holidaying in Europe. Perhaps they are. Patrick the Ghost, every woman's fave. And I agree, Kevin J. I love Bill Hauser. He's amazing, and he has the coolest ghost box ever because he's got friends that actually make those for him. Sitting here wondering what we should do. Do you think we should spend the next, 11 minutes trying to do the ghost box some more? Because I find that we were actually having more success this last time. Perhaps the more that we try to use it, the more people will come through. That's so awesome. So what do you guys think about the Vail? Do you feel... yes, the closet door is open, Rano. It's always open. Closet door is always open. I came out of the paranormal closet and I never shut the door behind me. But yeah, our loved ones are around us, and I'm not sure about the Vail weakening around this time of the year. I know there's different stories behind it. If you guys have any stories you'd like to share about where this particular belief came from, I'd love to hear it and read it online here. But let's go ahead and try another 10-minute session here. And we're going to try to see if we get any more messages coming through. If you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat room here. And I'm going to go back because I think there were a couple that I had missed, but I think I got them as I was watching as we were doing this. So, the one that I did not ask was, is ghost a good interpretation of what actually happens? Hogwash, says Trip. The Vail, aka Fourth Dimension, is definitely weakening for sure, BTO says. So everybody's got their different beliefs on what's actually going on. But let's try this again for the next 9 minutes here, and then we got to go to break, and then when we come back, I want to hear from you guys. If you have questions for the ghost box, we'll try that, since it seems to be trying to work again. Or if you have your paranormal stories, like Adam said he had a story to share, I'd love to hear your stories. And the number is 1-970-335-9596. All right, we're going back to the ghost box. Thank you, Trip, for all you do, sharing the number and all of our ads. You're a rock star. Okay, so we're going to try this again. Is ghost a good interpretation of what the other side is? Andrew's wanting to talk to his dad. Are you there? What's time like over there?
You know,
that was loud and clear. Sounded like you said, you know. We're listening. We want to hear your message. What do you have to share with us? Hello. What's your name? Pretty sure I heard it Craig there. Can you tell us your name again, just so we're sure? Who are you reaching out to? life? Which life are you on? Are we here to learn certain lessons? Is time different on the other side, more so than here? Pineapple does not go on pizza, does it? Do you miss anything over there? We can hear you and we're listening. What message do you need to get across? What sort of spirit are you? Are you malevolent or benevolent? Do you like Halloween? I love it. Halloween's my favorite time of year. Are you lonely? Do extraterrestrials or interdimensionals exist? In what dimension do you exist? Thank you for coming through. We really appreciate you trying to communicate with us. What is your name and what dimension are you in? Were you in a wreck? What do you feel on the other side? Do you know you're dead? I'm excited to talk to you as well. I'm so happy to hear from you. Well, we gotta go for now, but hopefully we'll be able to talk to you again soon, and thank you so much again for your time. Alright guys, we're gonna go to commercial really quick, and then we'll come back hopefully with more words that you guys may have heard, more expressions from the spirit world that came through, and I'm glad it finally started working. I was like, what is happening? I think that crew of paranormal hunters and astral researchers really did a really good job clearing this place out. But you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
When it comes to the news, we look for the stories that the mainstream won't cover. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter. This is News Director Everett Thiemer. The Encounter is about the weird and strange stories that occur daily, and we scour the world looking to bring them to you. You can hear me with Dave Scott every Monday through Friday in our Encounter news segment. Read us online at spacedoutradio.com or check us out and give our Facebook page a like at SOR The Encounter. So come give The Encounter a read.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
Sit back, relax, grab a drink, and listen closely. Spaced Out Radio continues through the weekend. From the mile-high mountains of Colorado to you, listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Weekend with Tessa N Thomas.
Awesome. So great to have you guys on tonight. It's the weekend before Halloween, and I'm kind of bummed because generally every Halloween I dress up and I go out trick-or-treating with the kids, but this year I'm actually going to be working security. So I'm interested to see if anything's going to be happening on the job site. When I first went on the job site at night, there were shadow things like darting all over the place quickly, and I wasn't sure if it was a numerous number of shadow people or if it was the same one just moving so fast that it looked like multiples. But then after the first week, it really wasn't that crazy. You know, I've had experiences with the skunk who is basically stalking me, the raccoon and the fox, and I actually got a few messages out of that from my friend Rosemary, and it was pretty awesome and pretty on point as far as what was going on in my life at that point. But yeah, if you guys would like to call in with your stories, ghost stories, alien UFO stories, paranormal, freaky, scary stories, anything such as that, I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. And the number for that is 1-970-335-9596. That's 1-970-335-9596, and we are still taking calls, so feel free to call in at any time. I'd love to hear your voice, and I'd love to hear your experience. So until we do get a call, I got a few stories here that are pretty interesting that I'd love to share with you guys. And they come from 10 of the scariest stories we've ever heard. So, let's see. What's going on with you? If you'd like to call in, gave you the number 970-335-9596. Alright, so this one is from Roy. And he says, oh man, my electronics are just being weird tonight. Come back, Roy, come back. So he says, I come down to the kitchen for breakfast on a Saturday morning. My mom and my sister are already up. And they look, hold on, pop up. And they look exhausted. My mom asked, did you sleep all right? Yeah, I said. Even after you woke up? I woke up. Sometime in the middle of the night, I started screaming. My mom rushed into my room and found me sitting up in bed screaming, Roy, Roy, Roy. She did her best to calm me down while shooing away my pissed-off sister, who had stormed in to find out that what the F was going on with me. She asked me who Roy was, but I would only say that he was a bad man. I didn't say anything but Roy is a bad man. I'm shocked as they're telling me all of this, and they're surprised that I don't remember. But then again, I'm the sound sleeper of the house who can doze through a lightning storm. We write it off as some weird nightmare that I don't remember. Years later, I'm off at my first year of college. My mom sends me a videotape in the mail. She didn't mention it before I had left, as in, hey, keep your eye on the mailbox or anything. I press play, and it's my mom taking a video camera through our house. She was moving and sent the tape as one last walkthrough of the now empty house before she left. It was sweet and a little tear-jerking until she said, so here's something you might find interesting, when she approached a closet in her bedroom. This closet, aside from being the hiding place for all the Christmas gifts, was also always packed full of old luggage and other odds and ends. You could only go 3 feet in before you would have to start climbing on things to go further. She goes in with the camera, and I see that there are purple crayon drawings on the wall. Down at the height... Here, let me take this call. Hold on. Okay, so down at the height where a small child would draw, there are random scribbles, some stick figures, something that may have been a dog. I was always puzzled because I had no memory of ever playing in this closet, and I don't know how I would have drawn on the walls when they were, in my mind, always covered. Then the camera comes to the word on the wall, and it says, Roy. And my mom must not have remembered that night. She said on the tape, Roy, I wonder who Roy is. So we actually have a caller. Let me go back over here and see if Spreaker is actually going to work. All right, who are we talking to? Hey, Christopher, how's it going?
Pretty good.
So did you have a story or an experience to share with us?
Yeah, I do. I didn't get a chance to speak of it, but I want to tell you about that experience dreaming about that 5-story house that scared me so much in the dream. It's like, what's weird was I saw the house had a lot of gold below the basement, buried, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into the house, and I dreamed I was living there for a long time. And on each floor, it had a big old wall fan. That way, it keep the house cool during the summer. And I kept walking the stairs. I kept getting this increase in energy and ear ring. And up top of the house, I kept... it got really frightening because because the 5th floor didn't have hardly any windows, only a couple, unless you go into the bedrooms. And this bedroom that I walked into was always dark, and I saw these green things that would glow in the dark and couldn't describe them. And the energy and the ringing was so loud, I screamed. It was like when I woke up, nobody heard me. And still to this day, I can't figure out what I was looking at.
So did you get any sort of feeling off of that, or did it freak you out? Was it scary, or did you feel comfortable with it?
It freaked me out. That house did. The further up I went up, the floors in the house, and in that particular room, I was frightened to death almost. And it seemed like I walked out of the house at nighttime, and I had the shadow. It seemed like he was dangerous. It was like I was glad to get out of there. It seemed that the house was extremely haunted, and it was connected to what's below the basement. I have a feeling that house was from a past life.
So this was a dream you had, or is this an experience you had?
I would say experience, because it was more like a lucid or astral dream.
That's awesome. And Bettino and I were actually talking about dreams and such earlier. And, he was talking about how it's kind of like a different realm. And I totally agree with that. Like, different things can happen. And sometimes it can feel so real, like, it's actually happening, you're actually there, and, sometimes you'll get a message from it, or sometimes, Trip, you're funny, sometimes, it's just a different experience, and, some people talk about, like our medium from our team, let's astrally meet somewhere tonight, like in the dream realm, so that would be totally awesome.
Me, I wish I had more control of it.
Yeah, and it's funny how I was talking last week with the astral crew, how, how I have had a couple astral experiences unintentionally, and, I always feel like a drunk baby or whatever, like I can't get up, I can't, move without falling over or having to lean on something, and it's been pretty interesting. But then they're like, well, just think of it as, when you're in a dream, which, I've been able to master my dreams. I've been able to, run and jump extra high, or fly for a short distance, or even breathe underwater or whatever. But if I just try to remember it next time instead of freaking out over the experience, I think I might have a better experience with it instead of feeling crazy.
Yeah, I did an experiment, because I told you one of the names of the spirits I sometimes talk to, right? One specific female, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did an experiment. I was talking on a ghost box session with somebody, and I found out I can interact with her pretty well.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Let's see.
And I even had music on my sections before.
Yeah, you know how we have the after party every night, and people will come in, and you can either be in there on video, or you can just be in there on your phone as a voice or whatnot. And when I was even doing my Facebook Live video telling everybody about the show, I was seeing this orb like shoot over my head, and I was like, what the heck is that? And
wow.
And BTO was saying several times last night he saw 4 orbs while chatting with me. And my sister today, while talking to me, was like, there's an orb just circling over your head. And yeah, there's no bugs in here. I haven't seen any bugs, not even flies. Like, everything's basically gone to sleep, because it has been freezing at night and pretty cold during the day. Unless we have cloud cover, and then it's a bit warmer, but it seems like all the bugs are gone. I haven't had any bugs in here. I actually had one one day a few months ago that was kind of climbing around on my computer screen on the top part of it. But
wow.
Other than that, I haven't seen any bugs in here, and I did see it during my Facebook Live video, or as I was getting ready for it, I could see it fly over my head in the video, and then BTO saw it last night, and then my sister saw it tonight, so that was pretty interesting.
Your house is somewhat active.
Yeah, and, we've got a few spirits here, and, one I'm cool with, like John, the guy that died here from emphysema, and he's a really cool older guy, and laid back and has never really caused any issues. He's accidentally scared the kids a couple of times because, like I was saying earlier, it's the unknown. And for kids especially, it's like, hard enough to wrap their minds around the world as it is, like even for us. But, for them, it's just like really freaky stuff. But we did have a dark entity here that was punching walls. He actually punched the couch right next to where one of our roommates was sleeping on a day bed, and it woke him up. And I didn't tell anybody about the clearing until just yesterday. I was like, okay, so I had an astral team come in here last Saturday, and have you guys noticed any changes? And Brian's been sleeping better. He hasn't been woken up by hearing punches next to him as he's sleeping, and the energy, like I said before, has calmed down quite a bit. But yeah, our house is quite haunted. And when I first found it and we're going down the driveway and we pull up to it, I'm like, this is my home. But you hear that from a lot of people who do move into houses. They feel like drawn to it, and this is where I should be, and then all kinds of crazy paranormal stuff starts to happen. But I do love it, and it is my job.
Is it? You felt drawn to your home when you first got it?
Before we even rented it, we had just gone to look at it really quick to see if it would work for us. And, I just felt like, this is my home. This is where I'm supposed to be. And my husband was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, like, this is my home. I want to be here. And, we've had experience after experience since then. It's been pretty interesting.
That is really cool. I have found my home that I'm drawn to yet. I will. I suspect it.
Well, I'm so glad you called in with your experience. Did you have any other paranormal or freaky stories to share with us?
Well, no, I would like to sometime try to chat with you on Ghostbox sometime. That would be cool.
Yeah, for sure. What did you think about that? I heard a couple people like Dale saying, wow, that's really loud as far as like the fuzz in the background. I'd love to get a ghost box where you don't get that fuzz interference and you just hear the voices come through. That'd be epic.
It blasted me. I just turned my speakers down.
Yeah. In the beginning, they're like, turn it up, but I think it's because there's a speaker on the front and a speaker on the back, and the noise was just coming out of the back, so I turned it around, and that was probably too much. I probably had it too close.
I suspect your home is not active enough. You may want to get an Oculus if you can. That's the ones that Bill gets.
Yeah, and I wanted to get in touch with him today and see if he'd like to join us with his ghost box and dink around with it for a little bit. So if you're friends with him on Facebook, see if he'd like to call in and do a little bit of his ghost session with us, because he does have so many awesome things come through, and I hear messages all the time, and I've been told that what I hear come through, like from Bazooka Joe, he's like, my wife said you were totally right on, and that just made me feel good about being able to hear it come through, because a lot of people weren't picking up on what I was hearing.
We are. He's active right now. I can give him a shout.
Yeah, tell him to give us a call and see if he's got any stories he'd like to share with us, or if he'd like to do the ghost box for a little bit. It'd be totally awesome to have him. And I kind of felt bad, bringing my own ghost box, because I know that is, Bill's thing that he does, and I don't want to step on any toes, but people have been requesting it for quite a while now, so I figured we'd try it, especially being it's the weekend before Halloween.
Oh, I would love him to be on before Halloween. That would really, that would be the essence of Halloween, hearing spirits.
Indeed. And like I said, he's got some awesome ghost boxes that aren't as loud as mine. Mine's got a lot of fuzz in between stations, but I'm glad we were actually finally able to pick up some voices, because when we first started it was just all fuzz and there was nothing coming through. And then it seemed like the more and more we used it, the more and more we had coming through.
Oh, cool. Right now I just asked if you would like to share any stories you would like to have on your show.
Yeah, or even if you'd like to break out the ghost box, since we are sitting around enjoying the thinning of the veil the Sunday before Halloween. It'd be totally awesome to have him come through, as he is the master of ghost boxes, and he's got quite a few awesome ghost boxes there.
Oh, he does. He's awesome. It's a story on Ghostbox Radio.
Yeah, and anytime he shares like links on Spaced Out Radio and such, I always share those on my Four Corners Paranormal Investigations page, as well as on my personal page, because he does do such an awesome job with it.
Oh, he's cool. I like him.
And Tripp was saying Robert lowered the shield, which Robert did say that earlier. I'm lowering the shield around Tessa so this ghost box will work, and it actually did. So thank you, Robert, in Australia, from the land of tomorrow, for doing that for us.
Oh, after a show, I'll call you. I want to try something on your box, see what it would do.
Yeah, you're totally welcome to, and I'd love to have you on, and thanks so much for calling and sharing your experience.
I hope you have a good night and happy Halloween if we don't chat before then.
Thanks, Christopher, and happy Halloween to you as well. And yeah, if you'd like to call in for the after party, I'd totally be willing to break out the ghost box again, so long as the batteries work.
Talk to you then. Bye.
All right, talk to you later, Chris. Okay, so that was Christopher with a story from his experiences that he's had, and hopefully we'll hear from Bill Hauser, because I'd totally love to have him come in and do like a duel of the ghost boxes. Like, I tried mine out. We actually got some messages coming through, but it'd be awesome to have him come on, because like I said, Bill is the master of ghost boxes, and I'd totally love to have him call in. And if you guys would like to call in, and Robert said yes, just around the device he cleared it so we could get something coming through, and we actually did. So thanks again, Robert, for doing that. But yeah, if you guys have stories, paranormal experiences, ET, UFO experiences, anything that's paranormal and out of this world, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear your experiences and your stories. But until we do get more calls, and the number again is 1-970-335-9596, I'll go ahead and share some more stories that I have written down here. So this one is called You Finally Found Out, from Mbizu, I believe is his name, but it's hard to pronounce. But he says, long before I was born, my parents were renting a house in a different part of our state. My mother never really liked the place. Something just seemed off to her. The feeling hadn't gone away even after a couple months of living in there. In fact, as time went on, she began to feel even more ill at ease. She chalked it up to paranoia. My father's schedule was shifted and he was placed on night duty. The first night she was due to be alone in the house, she had a terrible anxiety attack. Something bad was around her, she could just feel it, and she called a friend and had her stay the night. The next day, my dad kidded her about being such a wuss. Before my dad left for work the next night, my mother sheepishly placed a large pair of sharp sewing shears under her pillow. She said she felt embarrassed because, of course, it was all just her imagination. She had considered a knife, but figured that was too silly and over the top. Still, she wanted something just to focus on, really, that could keep her calm and calm her nerves when she went to bed. The dream was very intense, the kind where you have no idea it was even a dream. She said in the dream she got up to go to the bathroom. As she was on her way back to the bedroom, the dream suddenly started to feel a tingling sensation all over. Then she couldn't breathe. At first in the dream, she was calm, but her breathing wasn't coming. She tried shallowing and felt a hard pressure against her throat, a hand pushing and not letting go. Then the pressure jumped and was under her jawline, squeezing so that her whole neck was collapsing inwards. She fell to her knees. She was suddenly aware that she was making gurgling sounds. For some reason, she said it felt like she wanted to retch out her tongue, just so she could get some more air in. There was throbbing under her ears, and the hallway started tilting. She didn't know why, but she was overcome with only one thought, that she had to get to the bedroom. She began crawling along the hall on her knees, propelling herself along by her elbows, still choking and gasping. The carpet burned against her skin. It felt as if she were underwater. Every slight movement met by resistance. Finally, she made it into the bedroom. Despite her best attempts to calm herself, her heart was beating so hard it physically started to hurt her as well. Suddenly, whatever had her neck tightened to the point where she heard a cracking sound. She thought, "I'm going to die," and this gave her dream self a surge of adrenaline. She thrust her arm up onto the bed and grabbed under the pillow, and that's when she woke up. The sun was coming up, and there was fresh light in the room. She was drenched in sweat and lay in the bed for about half an hour, too shocked to move. When she finally convinced herself to get up and swung her legs out from under the blanket, she felt a stinging, sore sensation. She looked down on the worst carpet burns she had ever seen, layers of skin peeled off, small streaks of red blood on the pink skin. It was only after she'd slowly made her way around the bed and towards the door that she found out what happened to the sewing shears. They were stuck 3 inches deep into the cheaply made wall. My mom packed her bags and had moved in with her sister before my dad even got home. She refused to go back in the house, no matter how much my dad complained about the cost of getting out of their lease. Finally, my dad gave up and called the landlord, ready for a fight. He was surprised when the landlord relented and gave him the get out that barely cost my parents anything. "I guess you finally found out," the landlord said. "Found out?" said my dad. It turned out that about 5 years earlier, a woman had been found dead in the house. The coroner ruled it a homicide, saying that she had been strangled. The woman's boyfriend, who claimed he wasn't anywhere nearby, was arrested and convicted. "I know the boyfriend didn't do it," my mom finished up, "and that's why I tell your dad I saved his life, because I did. I saved my own and saved him from having to spend the rest of his life in prison." Now that gave me goosebumps. It's pretty creepy when stuff like that can actually physically happen to you, even though it's not in this realm but the other. And again, if you guys would like to call in with your stories, or if you're afraid to be on the radio and you'd rather that I read the story for you, feel free to do that as well. Because I'm more than willing to do that for you, because I do want to hear your stories. Hitting back over here, I was just checking the chat rooms, making sure there's no stories coming up. Pump 'em up, BTO says. All right. So let's go to another ghost stories. And I also have skinwalker stories on here because I did grow up in the Ute and Navajo area, and I have heard so many stories from my native friends, and so those are pretty creepy to me as well, and you might find them creepy as well. But I'm going to continue with a few more ghost stories before we head on over to skinwalker stories. This one's called Bad Juju, and this one's from Meanie Weenie. The summer before my last year of college, I lived in a treehouse on my friend's property on a large island. Set back in the woods a bit, it was pretty secluded. I loved it. It was quiet and could do pretty much whatever I wanted, which usually involved an entire six-pack of PBR, nudity, a pellet gun, and gray slick on vinyl. There was an extension cord running from the workshop up to my tree dwelling, allowing for a few lights, a record player, and a cell phone charger. One night, after a long day of working a fun but tiring tourist town retail job, I came home, grabbed a beer, ditched my pants, and got to work. I stayed up pretty late, maybe 2 a.m., then tucked myself into bed. To preface, I experience sleep paralysis a few times per year, usually when I'm stressed out. This was something entirely different. I woke up sometime later, maybe a few hours. It was still dark. There was a shrill noise ringing through my head, almost like a high-pitched static. My eyes popped open, and the entire treehouse was glowing red. My entire body felt like it was buzzing. I could look around, but I couldn't move. Slowly the red light, the vibration in my core, and the noise faded out, pretty much in sync. Once they had all disappeared completely, I could move again, breathing heavily. I sat up and turned on my lamp. The horses in the barn next door were losing their ish. I was so freaked out, I couldn't get back to sleep for hours. I tried to read a book, but I couldn't concentrate. Finally, as the sun started to rise, I dozed off again. When I woke up, I went into the property owner's house. Part of the rental deal included bathroom, kitchen, and laundry access, and made some oatmeal. I was still freaked out, but happy to have slept. A few hours later, I headed in to work. Here's where it gets creepier. I worked with this awesome woman who is now one of the closest friends. Well, we'll call her Kelly, for privacy's sake. As soon as I walked in, she noticed how tired I was. Throughout the evening, I was kind of floating with my mind elsewhere. "Come here," she beckoned, when the shop had cleared out around dinner time. "What's going on with you?" I told her about the red light and the paralysis and the noise and the horses, and she nodded. "Let me tell you something," she started. "There is some really effed up juju on this island." She went on to tell me this story. When she was a kid growing up on the other side of the island, her grandparents owned a big piece of property with a small farm. One evening, she was there with her family, including parents, siblings, cousins, aunts, and uncles. When her grandfather called everyone in for dinner, the kids came running and left toys all over the yard. After the meal, her grandfather offered to pick up after the kids. When he came in, about 10 minutes later, he didn't have any toys with him. He looked like he'd seen a ghost, and his face was white as a sheet. "What's wrong with you?" her grandmother had asked. He shook his head and went straight to bed. Some of the adults went out into the yard to check out the situation. The toys were right where all the kids had left them. The field up beyond the yard was smoldering. Worried there had been a brush fire, everyone walked up to check it out. When they got there, there was a perfect circular ring, about 6 feet across, burning into the tall grass. The grass grew back, and Kelly said she always got a weird feeling whenever she got near the circle. Her grandfather wouldn't mow near it, and everyone who saw it just picked up bad vibes. "This isn't the first time they've been here," she added. "They come all the time. My son used to see them when he was little, and he would try to talk to them." "Who?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "He just called them the Green Men." So I wonder, are those like little goblin thingies, or could those be aliens? That's a pretty interesting story. And I love reading stories that give me goosebumps. And again, if you guys would like to call in with your stories, the number is 1-970-335-9596. That's 1-970-335-9596. This story, excuse me, I'm going to mute for a minute because I have to cough, is called Backwards and Forwards and in One Place, from Nomi Malone. And she says, "A few years ago, I asked my so I'm not sure, so if he had ever seen a ghost." So maybe she's talking about her son. "He got really uncomfortable and squirrely, lots of hemming and hawing. Annoyed, I said, 'Just say yes or no. I won't judge you if you think you have seen a ghost.' I'm a skeptic and figured he didn't want to sound like a rube or something. Turns out he was hesitant because he believes he saw one, but it was while he was deployed on a mission in the Middle East, and he was trying to think of how he could describe it without giving up the classified info. The story is this. He was in the spooky, vague Middle East when there was a commotion from the soldiers watching over the perimeter. Apparently, they could see a man about 100 yards away from the camp. He had appeared out of nowhere. No one saw him walking up. The man was just standing there, not doing anything threatening. But since it was a strange man in a war zone, They broke out all the high-tech gear to see what was going on. They could see his face, his clothes, his height, but he looked bizarrely distorted and was not giving off a heat signature. They have infrared gym jams and whatnot. It's the freaking military, not a piddling ghost hunting troop here. He was not the temperature of a human being. He was the temperature of the air around him. They had no idea what was going on, and the people were freaked out. At this point, I said some obvious stuff. Maybe it was a scarecrow or a dummy or a shadow, or the soldiers were really tired and delirious and their eyes were playing tricks on them, or it was a hologram weapon shaped like a human. His response: they called different people up to come look at the man. It wasn't just a few soldiers who saw this. Dozens of people came to look, and everyone confirmed that it was definitely a person. Eventually, they decided to send out a team to check this guy out. When they got about 50 yards away, the man started walking. Only it didn't look like he was walking towards or away from them, only walking in place. They froze, expecting an attack, but the man never got any closer. And she said, so he was moonwalking. Woohoo! A terrorist with dance moves, how scary. His shaky response: it looked like it was trying to walk, but instead of moving like a regular person, its bones were breaking and splintering backwards and forwards at the joints. Ugh, that gives me goosebumps. I can't think of a better way to describe it. Its head was jerking around like a puppet. When the convoy got a few yards closer, it disappeared entirely. The team hauled butt back to camp, and as soon as they returned, the man-thing reappeared in its spot. Everyone took turns watching it for an hour or so until it disappeared for good. Didn't walk away, didn't fly or melt or explode, just stood there for a long time, then vanished. That was a creepy, freaky story. I'm going to have to shave my legs tomorrow. I'm getting goosebumps super bad. This one is called James, and it's from Violet K. And again, I would like to reiterate to you, if you guys have any stories you'd like to share, you can do it in the chat room, or you can call, and Trip has shared the number as well. It's 1-970-335-9596, 970-335-9596. Let's see. Checking the chat room really quick. I don't want to miss anything you guys have to say, whether it's in chat or whether you're just going to call in, which I'd love to hear your voice and hear your story, but I'd be willing to read it for you if being on radio freaks you out, which it does for a lot of people. Okay, so this is called James, and it's from Violet K. And she says, when I was 17 years old, I was an avid romance reader. I'd sneak all of my mother's Harlequin novels and lock myself in the bedroom and just absorb all of its cheesy, dramatic goodness. So when I started dreaming of this dashing young fellow in a breezy, ruffled white shirt, think Fabio or whatever any man on the historical romance would be wearing, and riding boots, I was ecstatic. His name was James, and he had this old-time English accent that I couldn't quite place. The dream started out naturally. Once a month he'd pop in, sometimes twice. Then it became more frequent, 1 to 2 times a week. It would always start the same. I'd be dreaming of myself sleeping in my bed, and I'd wake up to find him standing in my room. His eyes glowed this vibrant green, and he kept pushing his ruffled hair back in this sexy way. The way he looked at me is what I became obsessed with. There was this yearning, this deep devotion to me. I would wake up thinking, that's what it's like to be in love. He would always approach me slowly, hesitant to make sure I wasn't scared. Then he would tell me I was beautiful and ask me to dance. Music would appear out of nowhere, and I would look down and find myself in this beautiful lace nightgown and flowers in my hair, and we would waltz in the moonlight. Can you see why a 17-year-old girl would just become obsessed with this? I would become so eager to go to bed, sometimes forcing myself to sleep by 7 p.m. just so I could see him. Meanwhile, things in my waking life were becoming strangely dark. My music player would turn on in the middle of the night, full blast, waking the entire house. I'd be doing homework at my desk and would continuously see something from the corner of my eye. One time, with the house to ourselves, my best friend and I were all piled into bed, eating cookie dough and watching reruns of Cops, when we heard a male voice talking from the bathroom just down the hall from my bedroom. At first, we didn't think anything of it. Perhaps my dad came home earlier than expected, or my brother. We were a family of 5 with an open-door policy for friends. It was rare that we were alone. The voice kept going on until finally my one best friend asked me who was here. I muted the TV and we listened, and then I realized the voice had an accent. I got this terrible shiver down my back and I yelled out, "James?" Then suddenly the voice stopped. I finally told my best friend about the dreams and their faces went white. 2 nights later, I dreamt the same dream. I was dancing with James, but the energy was different. His grip on me was firmer as we danced. The whole time he was growling in my ear, "You are mine, and no one can have you." A week later, I begged my mother to let me move out of the bedroom and come upstairs. It was in the basement, as far as where her bedroom was. My younger sister switched with me, and she stayed there for years. My dreams were gone. A little over a year ago now, my sister and I were helping my mother clean out the room so she could transform it into her own office. My sister and I were going through things and she randomly started laughing and said, "James won't like this." I have never felt more cold or sick or terrified in my life. "What did you just say?" She looked embarrassed and waved her hand to pass it off before carrying back to the boxes. She said, "James, Englishman who dances." And she nodded and said, "He's not a very nice man." So I guess they had both experienced the same thing. And at first he appeared to be, sweet and gentle and totally the man of their dreams, but then began to tighten his grip on them and show his true colors, which was darkness. So that was interesting. I'm looking over here. Do you guys want to hear more ghost stories, or would you like to hear a skinwalker story? Because I love all of them. Let me see. Well, having trouble pulling that up. So I'll go back on here. And let's see. So while that's pulling up, let me go down a little bit. So this one's from Nida C. And let's see. Okay, so she's giving a little narrative of what to expect. And this one is called "Maybe Trying to Hit It Wasn't the Best Idea." And this one's from Neptune 420. He says, "My father owns a small delivery service that operates out of Farmington, New Mexico." Wow, that's like 45 minutes from here. "We mostly deliver small packages out of the middle of nowhere that are too much of a hassle for the larger delivery companies to bother with. My dad is the only employee, and we have a few pickup trucks and a trailer. One day, we get a delivery out to Window Rock, Arizona, on the Navajo Reservation, about 2 hours from Farmington. My dad gets the call for the job while he is chilling with his Navajo friend Travis and his girlfriend. Travis mentions how he's got family in Window Rock that he hasn't seen in ages and suggests that they go with him. I was about 6 or 7 at the time, and it was the summertime, so Dad decides we'll go down together. He can do this delivery really quick. Then while Travis sees his family, we can go check out Window Rock, which is a big rock face with a large hole in it that goes to the other side, and it's pretty cool. We had to convoy in separate trucks. Since my dad's was overloaded down with freight, he decided to bring along some walkie-talkies so he could communicate with one another. We spend our time in Window Rock. Everything is generally uneventful, and we start heading home along the old highway with my dad and I in front and Travis and his girlfriend in the truck behind us. I honestly don't remember most of the Window Rock trip, but this next part I can never forget. We are somewhere on the highway between Window Rock and Gallup, New Mexico. It had just rained earlier in the day, and the road was kind of slick, so we were taking it pretty slow. On the left of the highway, there is nothing but sandstone cliffs, and on the right side, there is a huge field separated from the road by a small barbed wire fence. We crest the top of this hill, and down at the bottom of the hill, we see what happens, or what appears to be a very large dog sitting back on its haunches in the middle of the road facing the cliffs. My dad calls over the radio, "Hey, Trav, do you see that big-ass dog?" Travis starts yelling back over the radio, "That is not a dog. Speed up right now and hit it." He sounds almost hysterical. He just keeps screaming, "Hit it. JJ, you have to hit it. Please, please, hit the effing thing right now." So my dad starts to speed up, and as we get a bit closer, I can begin to see it a little more clearly. It's covered in this brown, wiry, matted hair that appears to be dried blood all over it. It's still facing the cliffs, but the moment our headlight hit it, it turns and looks at us, and it has a face. I don't know how else to describe it other than a mix between a bear's and a human's face. It looks twisted and distorted and almost in pain. As we get closer to this thing, we start to realize it's actually freaking huge. I thought it was still sitting on its haunches. It was about shoulder height with the hood of the truck. We get literally inches from hitting it when it lets out this scream that sounds like someone screaming as their lungs are filling with water, and leaps backwards towards the field, landing just on our side of the barbed wire fence. Then with another leap, it was gone from sight. Travis comes over the radio again. "Holy shnikes, keep driving. We have to get out of here. We have to go faster." He kept repeating that last part. "We have to go faster. We have to get out of here, and we have to go faster." Pretty soon, we are speeding like crazy, and just as we start to come near the outskirts of Gallup, we get pulled over. Travis pulls his truck over with us. Naturally, this makes the cop, a Navajo man himself, very on edge, and he immediately asks why Travis felt the need to pull over as well. Travis says, "We just saw a skinwalker a few miles back, and it's been following us." The officer immediately turns white, stammers something about a verbal warning, gets in his car, and takes off, and we do the same. We didn't see anything else that night, but when we got home, Travis refused to let us leave without taking some kind of Navajo totem thing that was supposed to keep it away. That was pretty freaky. This one's called "Don't Get Off the Bus," and this is another skinwalker story, and then I'll go back here in a little bit to our ghost stories. But I just love these stories, and they really freak me out. Anybody that has been on the Navajo reservation has either probably heard of some creepy things or have experienced pretty creepy things, namely skinwalkers. I have only seen one. Here's my story. I come from a small town in northern Arizona that's sandwiched in between I believe it's Peyote Reservation to the north and the U.S. largest Navajo Reservation to the south. My high school being so small, a 1A high school that has an average of 80 students enrolled every year, always had to travel south about 5 to 10 hours one way to play another high school in any sport. This means that we traveled a lot on the Navajo Res, and we also usually stayed at hotels when we would head out to play and come home in the morning, but this trip was a little bit different. I remember the basketball coach saying that the high school didn't have enough money to put up the team in a hotel for that trip, so we were going to be on the road for a total of about 12 hours. I was the only male senior to play basketball that season. We had just got done playing our game and headed home on our bus, Big Blue. We were headed out, and it wasn't long, about 2 hours of driving before we had entered the res. By this time, everyone was asleep, with it being about 2 in the morning. When we had crossed the res border, I noticed the bus driver had sped up and was now going about 85 miles per hour. I thought this was a little weird because he never exceeded the speed limit, at least not in my high school career. For some reason, I couldn't fall asleep like the rest of the teammates, and I just sat at the back of the bus staring out across the desolate desert landscape and was lit up by the full moon. As I looked out, I could see a figure running towards the bus at an angle of pursuit and keeping up with the bus at 85 miles per hour. As the figure got closer, I saw that it was a humanoid form. As a matter of fact, it looked exactly like a human, only that the face was painted half black and half white with glowing eyes. glowing eyes like rabbit's eyes reflecting light from the spotlight. I immediately thought, holy crap, it's a skinwalker. The skinwalker ran up to the edge of the road and just kept up the pace with the bus, hurtling sagebrush and rocks while staring at me. After I made eye contact with the thing, I could not look away. It was as if something was holding my head and eyes in place. The skinwalker smiled at me, this inhumane smile that went ear to ear, showing crooked yellow pointed teeth. I felt like I was going to throw up, and I was panicking through the whole ordeal. The skinwalker started to crumble down onto all fours, still keeping up with the bus. I could see his bones crack and reform. Hair started appearing all over the skinwalker's body, and in about 3 seconds was now a coyote, and it ran off back into the desert out of view. As soon as it was gone, I ran to the onboard bathroom and puked a mixture of food and blood. I didn't want to tell anyone for fear they would think I was crazy. I confided in my Navajo friend. She told me that I needed to see the chief, who also happened to be a friend of mine, and get a blessing. I saw him the next school day in the parking lot. He just came up to me and mumbled something in Navajo while waving a feathered scepter-like thing, turned around, got in his truck, and drove away. To this day, I haven't seen another skinwalker. It might be due to the fact that I move away from the town in the res, and if I do have to go south, I go around, way around. So that was pretty freaky, and it is insane. You often hear stories of these things, and they are able to have this inhumane, speed. They're keeping up with cars, or they're passing cars, and they're able to dart in and out of traffic without even getting hit. But yeah, it's very interesting. I love hearing their stories. And we'll go back to a ghost story right now. And let's see, this one's called Hammer Time, and it's from Milady. My mother's family lived on the second floor of a large duplex in Côte Sainte Catherine. The front doors to the second floor apartments were located on the side of the buildings and faced each other from one duplex to the other. They rarely locked in the front door, and everyone knew their neighbors quite well. One morning, one of my uncles, who must have been about 13 at the time, says he woke up very early. This was summertime, and although it was kind of light out, the sun hadn't risen yet, so it was particularly in the middle of the night still. He was half awake in his bed, a bit groggy, and he realized what had woken him was the sound of someone creeping along in the corridor. For some reason, it didn't feel right to him. It didn't sound like someone from the family was going to the bathroom during the night, and it was slower and much weirder. He called out, "Hey, who's there?" Then he heard whoever was in the corridor walk back to the top of the stairs, down the stairs, out the front door. Creepy enough in my honest opinion, but it gets much worse. Within 6 months of this happening, a teenage girl was found dead in the duplex next door to my family's home. She had been killed during the night with a hammer by a 15-year-old boy that lived nearby. He was known by all other kids of the neighborhood, and my mother remembers him as being very quiet and always kind of looking down or away whenever you would look at him. He was kind of an outcast, certainly because of his personality, but also a bit perhaps because he went to a posh school, thanks to his father being a janitor there, and he got a bit snobbed out by the other kids. In the duplex where my family lived, on the first floor, there was a family with 3 teenage girls. In my family, there were 2 teenage girls. I guess he knew where to look, and I guess he must have been lurking around for a good while before deciding that it was time to take the hammer out. He killed himself in the hospital or jail while he was still very young. It's so sad when kids, have this darkness about them, and I just, can only think that it must have been something in their upbringing or whatnot that made them such. And then you hear these paranormal stories of possessions and everything. It's really hard to tell what exactly is going on, but I feel so bad for those kids. Andrew, I think it was Hillary Clinton's doppelganger. You guys are funny. You funny guys. All right, so let's see. Do you guys want to hear another scary story? Or shall we tell a skinwalker story? Let's go with another ghost story, because this is Halloween and skinwalkers happen all the time, and I just love ghost stories. This one's called The Judge's Chambers, and it's by Miss Anthropist. My fiancé and I met in Washington, D.C. area after being together for about a year. We moved from the city to a nearby suburb of Rockville, Maryland. It was a strange feeling house. Even if you're not particularly woo-woo or believe in vibes, it had a tendency of just attracting crazy. One of the upstairs tenants was a painfully shy and awkward man who worked at the library and looked like the caricature idea of a serial killer. He had been living there since before my mill owned the building, and sometimes when he was drinking heavily late at night, which was most nights, he would pace back and forth loudly and yell. He was unwell, to say the least. More than once, a mentally ill homeless person showed up at the front door of the building, insisting that they either lived there or wanted to rent an apartment. The historic district of Rockville was a nice part of town in which you almost never saw people living on the street, so it was even stranger. A lot of creepy-ish happened in the building, and the number of things in our apartment in particular. My fiancé's cigarettes were inexplicably hidden from him a number of times, once on top of the fridge. The radio in our kitchen would frequently get turned on or off despite having a manual dial that had to be cranked to the side and clicked on in order to power it on or off. A random smiley face that looked like it had been drawn by a finger showed up once in the medicine cabinet mirror when we were taking a shower. My fiancé woke up in the middle of the night once and asked me why there was a Confederate soldier walking through our bedroom. A couple of times the smell of sulfur would come from a non-functioning fireplace in our bedroom. Twice the smell of sickly sweet perfume that I can only describe as eau de grandma flooded our bedroom for reasons I can't fathom. You couldn't smell it in the hallway, outside our door, or anywhere else in the apartment. While at home, along a few times, I heard a distinctive animalian growling coming from our one of the corners of the ceiling in the living room, but saw nothing. My dogs would lose their ish and bark at the area of the noise until they began shaking and curling up with me. One morning we woke up and walked into the kitchen to find a drinking glass sitting on the center of the floor. The glass had previously been sitting in the sink, so it was a bit bizarre and puzzling. It was sitting upright, and as we moved closer to it, we found that it looked as if something had taken a bite out of it and then neatly placed the shards inside of the glass. There was not a speck or splinter of glass anywhere on the floor around it. The other side of the glass had 3 long scratches in it. I didn't want to touch it and didn't want my fiancé to touch it either, so I picked it up with a plastic bag around my hand like it was a pile of dog crap and took it to the outdoor trash cans. A couple of days later, a branch from a large tree over the carport where the trash cans were fell onto the carport and almost nailed one of the building residents. If we burned candles in our bedroom, for some reason they would burn so high and hot that it made the room unbearable to be in, even if there was no heat on and it was cool outside. This is in a very large bedroom with a 14-foot ceiling. I've been prone to issues with depression and anxiety since my childhood years, and even though I love the beautiful building, living in it was not good for me. Even when we weren't stressed about weird stuff happening, we fought a lot more when living there. We got sick a lot more, and we had just plain bad luck. My fiancé had to go back on medicine for depression for the first time since before we'd moved. We learned at some point that the house had once functioned as a halfway house for psychiatric patients transitioning out of a huge sanitarium that had been open nearby from 1910 to 2001. The sanitarium was called Chestnut Lodge. About 3 months before we moved into the house, the abandoned Chestnut Lodge building burned down and collapsed. A developer ended up buying the land and building very expensive housing on it, calling the development Chestnut Lodge after the facility. Apparently, the sanitarium was an inspiration for I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. I remember that song. We didn't find out until we were moving out a couple of years later that the scary upstairs neighbor originally moved in as one of the last halfway house patients. My mill sold the house a while back, but it took over a year on the market to finally get bought. What possesses people to build things on such structures? Hey, we're heading out. And we went a couple minutes over, but it's all good. It was good hanging out with you guys. I want to thank those of you that were able to call in tonight, and I'd like to thank my sister Cathy for coming in for the first hour. It's always wonderful having you guys on and hearing from you. And thank you so much to everyone in Spaced Out Radio, Facebook, Spreaker, Twitter, Paranormal Radio, TalkStream Live, Deep Talk Radio, and wherever else in the universe you are listening tonight. I had a wonderful time this evening, and it was my pleasure, literally and figuratively, and I can't wait to do it again next weekend on spacedoutradio.com. I hope you guys have an awesome Halloween. If you go out and party, make sure you have one for me, because I'll be working security night shift. But until next time, you guys, nighty-night, love and light to all my space cases out there. Don't forget, we are all in this together. Together we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we own the night. So if you guys would like to come in and hang out with me for a little bit, I'll be in the SOR Asylum after party, and you can share your ghost stories there or your crazy paranormal experiences, and I really look forward to hearing them. But hey, you guys, have a wonderful week. Don't work too hard, and I'll see you back here next weekend. Make sure you guys have fun on Halloween. Enjoy the thinning of the veil. And make sure you hold your loved ones extra close, share your stories with each other, and keep it cool. You guys have a good night. And that number, if you do want to come into the after party, is 1-970-335-9596. That's 1-970-335-9596. Again, nighty night, love and light. You guys have a spooky, spectacular week. I'll see you back here next weekend.
Deeper I fall.